Hey folks, and welcome to my thoughts on a comic. And today's comic is Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, issue 90 by Marvel. Now there is some fighting and Black Cat in her undergarments in this one, so if you're in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, let's start with name reading. Yes, I'm wearing gloves. First time ever I read a comic wearing gloves. But I did want to keep this one safe. I have sweaty fingers, and this was a gift from Matt. Alright, so this was presented by Stan Lee. Stan Lee. Written and penciled by Al Milgrom, I think. Finishes by Jim Mooney. Lettered by Joe Rosen. Colored by Bob Sharen. Edited by Danny Fingeroth. I probably botched that. And this word I can't figure out by Jim Shooter. I'll leave it down below and check what it is tomorrow. Alright. So, this is the third Spider-Man comic I've ever read. And first time I got to read about Black Cat in the comic. The only knowledge of her and where I actually saw her was in the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. The cartoon, I mean. So it was interesting to see her in a comic. Also, this is the only comic I have now with the first appearance. Spidey has his Venom suit here. Alright, so to quickly summarize the story. So a Black Cat who, and here is different from the movies, from the animated series where she's rich. She comes from a rich family. Well, that's definitely different. Sorry about that. So in here, she's an actual cat burglar. And it seemed at some point she met Spidey, and now they're lovers, mates, or whatever. And Black Cat has been fighting crime with him, and also Spidey told her about his identity, his job, where he lives, all that stuff. So, previously, in the previous issues, Felicia wanted to get superpowers because she's, now she could help Spidey perfectly fine against regular crooks, but against supervillains, she either almost got killed or almost got Spidey killed. She feels very guilty, and she wanted to get powers so she could really, be equal to him in fighting. So she got a offer from a disguised voice in the limo, never a good idea. And she was taken to a lab, and she was given superpowers, super strength, and more strength, agility, and also she could cause people who tried to attack her bad luck. So that's kind of cool. But then she found out that the one who gave her these powers is the Kingpin. He's the one who made everything possible. And he promises her that she won't have to hurt Spider-Man. But when he calls her, she has to come and do jobs for him. And now throughout this night in the comic, Felicia is in constant conflict of how to tell and what to tell Spidey. She hasn't seen him in a while. She wants to desperately find him. And she doesn't know how to tell him, or maybe not to tell him at all. And she keeps having conflict. She goes to the police station. There's a captain there, a captain lady. She asks her if she has seen Spidey. No, she hasn't seen him in a few days. Apparently mutants have been disappearing. She should ask the Avengers. Then she moves on. She goes to the Bugle, but they haven't seen... she looks for Peter Parker, but they haven't seen Peter Parker in several days. So she leaves. Oh, and prior to that, after she... at the beginning, she gets attacked by a group of crooks, but her bad luck just... They're all down. That's it. She killed... They're not dead, but it's amazing. Just the bad luck, and they're all down. So after the Daily Bugle, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go now. I know one more place. So she goes to Spider-Man's, to Aunt May's house. Perhaps he went there. So she comes in, it looks like Aunt May has a bunch of guests. So she sneaks inside and scares one of the women in the second floor. Everyone comes in. She's like, "Oh, sorry, I got the wrong house. I thought this was where the costume party is. I was gonna make an extravagant entrance." Which that excuse can only work in a comic or in a story. No way in real life. Well, she says, "Well, I'll be leaving. Excuse me, sorry." And she sits on a tree and continues to ponder. How do I annex to the house? Do I tell him? Do I not? Yes, no, yes, no. And then she's about to say another no. Suddenly Spidey jumps on the same branch she is and asks, "What are you doing here?" And she yells no. And she tells it, and then she makes a quick decision to tell him or not. And she tells him, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a few days, and I really missed you. I wanted to see you. I really wanted to see you," and so we see that she is not going to tell him about her powers. At least not in this issue. And that is the end. So overall, this is a pretty good story. It was interesting. It was interesting to see Felicia differently. I got to see Spidey, even though in the end. And the art is nice. I really like the art. I like the cover. The art is quite pleasant to look at that. I can't understand why here her eyes are brown and then throughout the entire thing they're green. But yeah, the art's really nice. Look at the hobgoblin. And that's the underwear part. Kids, cover your eyes. Kingpin. So yeah, I like this art style. It looks really nice and pleasant to the eyes. Those are the crooks. So yeah, art good, story good. I do have one thing to say. It's not a complaint about this comic though. It's a complaint about the typhoid fever one I read a few days ago. Or was it last week? Anyway, that I recently read. This comic has one editor. One editor that edited right. Even though I didn't really know much about this, or someone would have read it and didn't know much about what's going on, he did it in a way that, you understand. You can follow the story. You can follow it. Typhoid Fever had bloody 3 editors. And it was very confusing there. What, where, why the fuck? How, Marvel? How is it that, I checked this came out in the 80s. How is it that in the 80s, all you had to do was hire one guy, and one guy did all, a really good job for you? Nowadays, or at least in 2018, actually, yeah, nowadays, some editors you hire, and you hire sometimes there's like 3, and they can't do it. I mean, they can't do it coherently. How? How is it that 3 people together don't manage to do the job of one person? How? Like, this is seriously, how? A job one man did very well here. Now in the future, 3 can't seem to accomplish in a cohesive way. I'm just curious, how? Like, how are they? I mean, how? I mean, is it just me? Maybe it's just me. But yeah, that was the one thing I found funny. Like, one dude. But anyway, this was good. I enjoyed the story. I love seeing Black Cat, and I really dig that costume. And that is it. I'm pretty sure those of you who might watch this know about this whole thing way more than me. And so, it was awesome. I love Spider-Man. That is it, folks. If you read this one, I don't know, let me know and stuff. And that is it. Till next time. Bye.